So there is, however, there is some critiques that do need to be addressed. Some critics and some lay people say that Clint Eastwood kind of plays the same character in every single every role he's in. So you think back like Dirty Harry, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, Fistful of Dollars, like Fistful of Few Dollars, whatever it's called. Um, this one, Gran Torino, he's kind of plays that crotchety old man. For like since he's been 25, he's played that like tough guy look, and so. Do you
I would
guys,
counter that by saying this: he's not an actor; he's a movie star. Sean
well,
Connery's a movie star.
let me.
A whipping? That's all they get after what they've done? Get out of there!
It was a matter of honor.
They're paying $1,000 to whatever kills the two boys that cut up Delilah.
In a time when lawmen were killers.
What are y'all looking at?
You English, Bob?
Outlaws were heroes.
Well, I thought that you were dead.
Hell, I even thought I was dead. Till I found out I was just in Nebraska.
And a bad reputation.
You're the one who killed William Harvey and robbed that train over Missouri?
Was as good as gold.
Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood, producer. And the Oscar for the Best Picture of 1992 goes to Clint Eastwood. Unforgiven, producer.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chicago Cinephiles podcast. I am your co-host, Daniel. Join with me, as always, is my co-host, James and Steven. How we doing today, fellas?
We're so great. We can't even hold it back.
Another Western. I'm so excited.
We also have a new Pope, American Pope, and Chicago Pope. So maybe we can get him on here one day.
It's the Pope. It's the Pope down there.
Maybe we can get him on here and do a little speech.
The Pope, the Bears.
Ketchup is now mortal. Ketchup on a hot dog is now a mortal sin.
Right. You get excommunicated for it. Confirmed. I will say that whenever he got nominated or whatever, or elected, I like 2 other people messaged me because I used to work for the Archdiocese. Me and Stephen both did. And they're like, "Did you know that guy?" And I'm like, "No, he was long gone before I, was there." But Stephen, did you know that Cardinal Supich was one of the Cardinals that voted for him? He was on the balcony.
That's really awesome. But now those pictures I have with the standee of the former Pope are just worthless.
Yeah.
They had a picture of the Pope in our cafeteria.
Yeah, like a 6-foot standee, like in the cafeteria, just him like. Not really that, but like we took pictures with him. It was pretty funny.
Me and Mr. Pope.
Because obviously, like I'm Protestant, so that doesn't. He doesn't. He's just a normal person to me. But anyway, don't mean to offend the 1.4 billion, but So congrats to that, and congrats to Chicago. We have our first Pope. That's exciting, and he's also a Chicago White Sox fan.
USA.
Yeah, USA. All 3 of them. There's not many Chicago fans out there. So, but anyway. So moving on to our movie of the day. For those of you guys don't know, the first time here, welcome. We're the Chicago Cinephiles podcast. What we do here is we randomly pick a Oscar winner movie and we watch it and we talk about whether it should have won or not, because every year there always seems to be that 1 or 2 movies that shouldn't have won or that didn't get the recognition that it deserves. So we try to kind of just break that down and maybe show a little bit of love to some of the movies that didn't win. So this week we did the random wheel, and it actually ended up being Unforgiven, which is a 1992 Clint Eastwood movie. It was released in August 7th of 1992, so almost 93, but summer of 92. It does star quite a pretty good cast, honestly. The 3 big ones are going to be Clint Eastwood as Will Money, Morgan Freeman as Ned Logan, and then Gene Hackman as Little Bill Daggett. It is based on a screenplay by David Webb Peoples. The budget for it was about $14 million, and it did gross about $159 million, so successful. So won the Oscar and got money. It is the 3rd Western to win. Besides Cimarron, which we've already watched, which is on this podcast. So if you haven't, please go back and take a listen to that one. And then also Dances with Wolves, which I believe won like two, maybe even the year before, but it was very similar, very close. So it's kind of neat. In 2004, actually, Library of Congress, it was selected for preservation by the U.S. National Film Registry. This is our second film. The other one being Casablanca. And so kind of interesting that's, that
so quickly that it was.
yeah. And it couldn't have been more opposite kind of ends of the spectrum of movie, So it did win Best Picture and then Best Director Clint Eastwood, which is kind of pretty cool that this is what one of his, obviously, if you guys know Clint Eastwood, he does that. Best Supporting Actor Gene Hackman and Best Film Editing. And it was nominated for Best Actor, but did not win. And then it was listed number 68 on the updated AFI Top 100, which came out in 2008, I believe. So awesome. It was originally like in the 90s when the first release in the 90s, and then once it came out for the remake, it was like in the 60s. So 68, obviously. So AFI likes it. So, it's kind of nice to sort of get back on a critically acclaimed movie, considering that, the 2 movies ago was our Cimarron. So anyway, that's just little quick facts about Unforgiven. And then now what I'm going to do is we're going to have Steven segue into the next section where he kind of gives us a 2-minute synopsis of the story. And then that way, we can talk about it from there. So Steven, go ahead and take it away.
Well, this may sound stupid, but is it Will Bunny or Muni? Is it Money? Was that his last name? How do you pronounce his last name?
It's Munny.
Yeah, I mean, I was I was unsure. I'm going to say Money. I think that's what it was.
Does he say bunny in the? What did I say?
You said money. Yeah,
that's what you're saying. Money.
Oh, I know, but I was saying, was it Muni or Money? I didn't know.
Muni. I thought you said, is it Bunny or Money? I was like, where are you getting Bunny from?
Is it Billy Bunny? This outlaw Billy Bunny. It's a very different film. Okay, so here's my synopsis. And I'll talk about the year in a second. But in the early 1880s, reformed outlaw Will Money is a Kansas farmer struggling to raise his 2 children alone after the death of his beloved wife. Enticed by the bounty offered to kill 2 cowboys who brutally disfigured a young prostitute in Big Whiskey, Wyoming, Will decides to become an outlaw one last time. Joined by his old partner Ned Logan and a young, inexperienced gunslinger named the Schofield Kid, Will sets off for Wyoming, ultimately facing Big Whiskey's ruthless sheriff, Little Bill Daggett, in a violent confrontation that deconstructs the expected moral truths found in the black versus white archetypes of Western films and stories.
Very well done. Well, Steven, you said you had something to say about the year?
Well, it says at the beginning of the movie, it starts in 1880. But when they talk about Guiteau just shot Garfield, that's 1881. So I was like, whoa.
Could it not be that like a time lapse?
Well, I don't know. I don't think so.
Because you think because how long did it take for him to
make it all the way? Yeah.
Yeah, because it might have been, but that's
I think it may be a problem with the titles or something, because
that's a cool point.
The newspapers in the movie say 1881. Did you notice that as well? Or?
Interesting. No, I didn't. I don't pay attention to kind of details.
I remember reading the paper in 1881. It was a very different experience.
Awesome. Well, Stephen, thank you for that. I appreciate that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about kind of, what was going on in the world. So in 1992, I know the Oscars were in 93, but they 92 was when it was filmed. So that's kind of what released. That's what I want to talk about. So in February of that year, Magic Johnson, the basketball player, returned after telling the world he had HIV 3 months prior. John Singleton became the first black director nominated for an Oscar for Boys in the Hood. John Gotti was convicted of murder in April of that year. In April, the LA riots happened, which if you guys don't know, look that up. In July, the Barcelona Summer Olympics happened, which me and James we like Olympics, so that's pretty cool. And then in December of that year, the first SMS text, Merry Christmas, by Neil Papworth's personal computer via the Vodafone network.
Oh, really?
So it's probably not the text message that we think of, but it was considered the first SMS text message. And then finally, Princess Diana and Prince Charles announced their divorce. Although they didn't get divorced for a few more years, obviously, but they did announce it in '92.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
So just some little fun facts. And then before we get too far into the topic, I kind of want to do something a little different for you guys. So at the time of us recording, it's 2 days before Mother's Day. And so I looked up what the Oscar winners for Best Actress playing a motherly performance was. And I know, Stephen, you had mentioned you wanted to say a thing. James, you don't have to if you don't want to, because I didn't really know. I had to look it up myself, so I can just read kind of the top five. But Stephen, did you have one that you wanted to talk about, or do you just kind of go
You
the
do your
list?
list. I'll see what else I've got.
Yeah, so so the list later, this is completely just some random person on the internet, so forgive me, I don't know anything about these. But number five is, it looks like it is Brie Larson in a movie called Room from 2015.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Looks like her 5-year-old son was born in captivity, and they basically spend their lives in what's called a call room. So interesting. Number four, I've actually seen this movie, and James, you probably have too. Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. That is Frances McDormand, where she wins. It's actually a really good movie, by the way. So if you guys haven't seen it, definitely recommend it. But it's basically her way of avenging her daughter from being unalived and essayed. And so it's just really cool that that was there. So anyway, for that one. Number three is Two Women by Sophia. Is it Lauren or Lorraine? I think it's Lauren. Lauren. Sophia Lauren or Lauren. Thank you. Number two is Mildred Pierce, the movie Mildred Pierce.
That's a good choice.
Or the character Mildred Pierce. And then number one, which I think is kind of what Stephen had, we sort of talked, he was on the same page. It is Terms of Endearment, which is by Shirley MacLaine. I have not seen that movie, so I can't speak on it. Stephen, you have. Why don't you tell the audience why you think that they probably got that right? That should be number one.
It's the weirdest mother-daughter relationship in the entire world. I mean, Deborah Winger and Shirley MacLaine did not get along at all. During the filming of the movie, they famously disliked / hated each other. But there's such a close connection within the characters, and I'm sure everybody has seen the famous scene where her daughter has cancer. Spoiler alert! It came out in the '80s. Deal with it. She has cancer, and so she's waiting to get the shot. And so you see Shirley MacLaine going to the nurse's station, going, "It's after 10. Give my daughter the shot. Give my daughter the shot!" Like she's screaming and yelling. Oh, thank you very much. It's the best.
So is she more of like? So is she actually like a motherly figure, like is like a warm, cuddly, or just she's
a very distant mother.
I was about to say, because that sounds kind of cold. Like if you're saying that she was just
a very distant mother who sort of becomes the champion of her daughter, and as she's sort of transferred it. But incredible performance by Shirley MacLaine, who was told that her character, I know a lot of useless facts, was told that her character was Southern until the day before they started filming. No, I think she's from Connecticut.
Wow.
So all of her actions are big and Southern, like,
Wow, that's a huge, that's a huge difference.
While her language is very different. So, yeah.
Well,
these are things that I know that no one else knows. The reason I live alone.
I just wanted to, I just kind of wanted to give a little shout out. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there that are watching.
Dunaway and Mommy Dearest. What are we talking about?
Yeah, no. Well, it said Oscar winners. But anyway, so enough about that. We'll move on then. So now we'll kind of go to our normal thing, but I just wanted to give that shout out. Now we're going to move on to just a little bit of trivia here. And Sue, if we want, James, do you have any trivia you want to share today? Or
I have a few fun little facts about this movie. So apparently Clint Eastwood was asked when he was going to film a movie in Canada in the Great White North. And he says, well, I have to take my family with me. And usually when you go international, you have to hire a local crew. And he said, the Canadian Union was willing to give him a break saying if you can prove that they've been on at least 5 pictures they worked on with them, that they can come up because so they had everyone basically except like 2 people.
Wow.
So they had like a crew of 50 people and they got around the union
Oh
in
wow.
Canada that way because Clint Eastwood just uses the same people over and over and over and over again, and he wouldn't film in Canada unless
That's
he could
funny.
bring some of his people. So he got around it that they just like, oh, we'll cut you a deal. Got 5 people.
I love it.
Yeah. Another one is this is another movie where they built a whole western town for it, and the buildings were functional. And it was 60 miles outside of Calgary because they wanted nothing around. So apparently 60 miles out of Calgary at that time, there was nothing around.
And they did it in like 39 days or something crazy like
Yeah,
that.
they built that really quick.
That's crazy.
And they're functional buildings that are the ones that like in there, like they're all functional.
I mean, crazy.
That's nuts.
Interesting.
That's what I got.
Steven, what about you?
Oh, I mean, I have a few little bit. My favorite thing is that Clint Eastwood had his mother play a character in the movie. She spent a very uncomfortable day in costume on like I think she was an extra
on the train.
Yeah, and they had to cut the scene.
Yeah, so happy Mother's Day.
But he was forgiven when he mentioned her at his acceptance speech at the Academy Awards. So there you go. That's kind of nice. You know, but I did love that. The shot when he's recuperating from being sick after being on the rain. When it's snowing. The snow was unexpected.
Really?
So they decided just to use it and film that scene that day, which is really sort of spectacular when you know that.
Interesting.
And the beginning is the beginning shot is the same location, camera angle, and time of day as High Plains Drifter, Clint Eastwood's first movie he directed.
Oh.
And he also wears the boots he wears in this movie are the same ones he wore in Rawhide.
Yep.
In 1959, which is wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And I love that what he says. He says that Richard Harris was watching High Plains Drifter on television when Clint Eastwood called to offer him the role of English Bob, and Harris thought it was a prank call. He thought it was a friend going, "Oh,
someone's
you know, I'm watching this movie. Give me a break. Come on." Of course, he was probably drunk too. Let's call it what it is.
To sort of tie in some of what was happening, the Clint Eastwood, when he reached out to Gene Hackman, he told him to act like the LA chief of police at the time, Daryl Gates, for the Rodney King thing. So that's kind of interesting, kind of a neat way to tie it in.
Isn't that wild?
And then I do just want to I'm spoiled because 2 of my favorite actors have been back to back with Jimmy Stewart and now Clint Eastwood, and I do want to read his little speech that he did whenever he won the speech. Because I think it's just hilarious because it was his first one. He never won one, and he said, "First, I'm not Jewish. Secondly, I make too much money. Thirdly, and most importantly, because I don't give a F." When they asked him why he hadn't won an award yet, that was his answer. Like why he hadn't got an Oscar. Like I just feel like that's such a Clint Eastwood answer. You know what I mean? Like I just love that. Like he just stays in character. He doesn't give a crap. But anyway, just kind of some fun facts. But okay, so now let's move on to what our initial thoughts were on the movie. I'm not gonna speak on this because I had already seen it before, so I want to hear James and Steven. I don't think you guys have ever seen it before. So before you guys went into it, did you guys have any knowledge of it, anything like that?
A little bit. What about you, James? A little bit.
Just assumed it was going to be a Clint Eastwood movie, and that's what it was.
And he would talk like this with his eyes really closed.
Also, that God was in it. Morgan Freeman.
Okay, you say that, but I have to say this. This is a weird fact that only I will know. God is, Morgan Freeman plays God in those Bruce Almighty, Evan Almighty movies. Hackman was the voice of God in the very underappreciated Two of a Kind. It was the movie that brought back John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John for their second movie, which no one has seen but me and a few other people who are homosexual and my age. So yeah, that made me very happy. So you knew it was God, but you didn't know anything else about like the the story or anything like that? Or
Well, I mean, he didn't know. God's not
No.
in this, by the way. Guys, just it's Morgan Freeman. Like it's
spoiler alert. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I didn't know much going into this. I just knew it was a Western, and based that nobody was wearing all white or all black, that it was going to be what's it like
gritty.
gritty Western, yeah.
Yeah.
Not like those classic ones.
Those are
That's all
honestly
I
my
had.
those are honestly my favorite. I really prefer the gritty like Western. I don't really like the clean ones.
Yeah.
But
I prefer these Westerns. I'm not a big Western fan, so
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if I had to pick one, I prefer like the kind of gritty, like because like
Oh.
I'm never gonna be Clint Eastwood. So like let me live through him. Like let me live vicariously through.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so there is some critiques that do need to be addressed. Some critics and some lay people say that Clint Eastwood kind of plays the same character in every single every role he's in. So you think back like Dirty Harry, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, A Fistful of Dollars, like Fistful of Few Dollars, whatever it's called. This one, Gran Torino, he's kind of plays that crotchety old man. For like since he's been 25, he's played that like tough guy look, and so
I would counter that by saying this: he's not an actor; he's a movie star. Sean Connery's a movie star.
Let me finish my question before you jump in. So, do you guys think that that's an issue? That like, is that a problem for you guys? Like, does that hinder you? And because even kind of like Charleston Heston, like he sort of portrays that like over the top that we talked about a few weeks ago. Do you guys agree with that criticism that he shouldn't be considered a good actor because he plays the same role? Stephen, hop in.
No, I really don't. I mean, I think it's, if you want to watch acting, watch a Meryl Streep movie, watch her disappear into a role, watch all that, there are people who do that. She's also a movie star, but a different kind of movie star. You watch Sean Connery, you watch Clint Eastwood, you watch these people because they're that person. You go for that persona. And because he is like plugged into what he is, what people see him as. A lot of people fight that as actors. Well, I know I'm supposed to be this. I'm supposed to be a wacky, goofy guy, but I really want to be, a dramatic actor. Well, you're not right now. So be the best wacky, goofy guy, and that's what he does extremely well. We all sort of want him to be on our side. We want to see ourselves as him, and I don't care that Sean Connery doesn't have a Russian accent in Hunt for Red October. I don't give a damn. I just want to see Sean Connery on that sub. So it's the same thing with this.
James, what do you think?
Okay, I have no problem. Like, Keanu Reeves gets the same criticism.
Fair.
And like, I honestly don't care. Like, get paid. If people enjoy the movie, what's the problem? Like, what is the purpose of a movie? To entertain.
Yep.
Yeah.
And range is overrated. If people like you in that character, give what people want. Like, beat that with a stick. Beat a dead horse with a stick. Like, just keep going.
I mean, you found something that resonates with the public. Why are you going to fight it now? I mean, I understand that you want to see people acting and disappear into a role, and there are people for that, and movies for that.
Yeah.
But you don't go to see Dirty Dancing to watch it be a critique of the social ethos. You watch Dirty Dancing because it's Dirty Dancing and it's an escape and it's fun, and don't put baby in the corner. That's what I think.
Well, I think we look back to Lionel Barrymore last week. He could do both sides. He could be the bad guy and then be the lovable grandpa, and we love him for that. But I agree with you guys. I would honestly want my money back if I went to a Clint Eastwood movie and he wasn't that guy. Like in Gran Torino, which I love, by the way. If he was like nice or wasn't the racist next door, like I would be like, what is this?
Cookies? Does anybody want cookies?
This is not real. This is not realistic. Like,
can you just imagine Clint Eastwood playing like a motherly type figure? Like, that would be hilarious.
Imagine Clint Eastwood being the teacher from Coda.
or the John Travolta character in Hairspray.
Right? Oh God, I would love to see that.
That would be amazing.
Tracy turned glad.
That's not his style. So
My diet pill is wearing off. Okay, can you hear this? I mean, that would be brilliant.
And we do need to appreciate because at time recording, both him and Morgan Freeman are both still here, so we're like, obviously,
Oh
so
yeah.
there's we're thank. I mean, I would be devastated when Clint Eastwood passes, and unfortunately, Gene Hackman did pass away a few months ago, so R.I.P. to him. At time of the recording.
And
Um,
I mean, there's some similar thing for Gene. I mean, he's got such a wide range of characters and a wide range of movies that he's done. I mean, this is a guy who played Lex
I was
Luthor
about to say
brilliantly.
I had never seen him as Lex Luthor until I watched it one day, and I was like, oh my gosh,
Greatest criminal mind of our time. Like
because
he's just so wild and out of control.
because
And then
I've
this,
I knew him in Hoosiers. He's the coach in Hoosiers,
oh,
and so like he's lovable and like just this great coach, and like he honestly inspired me when I was growing up. I wanted to be a coach because he inspired me. And then, like you said, then you see him as this not lovable character in this movie, and then he played Lex Luthor perfectly.
I mean,
Um,
all of his
he's
entire
the
range.
opposite. That's a good point. Yeah, great point on that one. Um, So, did you guys pick up any kind of themes in this movie this week? What was there anything that you guys wanted to talk about as far as just kind of overall themes? I've got one, but I want to see if you gentlemen have anything first.
What do you think, James?
I mean, it's okay. If I really want to get really old school, like it's basically like the Homer's Liliet. Like
Yep.
that's the story.
Yeah.
It's just what that is. Like, which is great. Like, I just when I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, this is what this is. That's
Mm-hmm.
like that meme where they have like a modern painter will never be great as the masters. It's a Renaissance painter. Renaissance painter's like, I'll never be great as the classics. And the classics like, I'll never be great as the original artist. And it's like a picture of K-Man and he's just saying, I'm the best. Like I, it's like it's a Homer's Liliad. Like
Yeah, it is.
just in a nutshell.
It's
Which
sort
is a
of,
great premise for our movie, but
Yeah.
and it's funny because last week we did "You Can't Take It With You," and that's a play on Romeo and Juliet. So it's nice to see that we're getting all these classics.
There are no new stories. They're just takes
Obviously
on.
your story is a lot older than Shakespeare.
unless you're the caveman and then you're the OG and you're best at everything.
Yeah, but
Real.
the caveman Stephen Sondheim. I'd like to have heard him. Those were
Mm.
great.
The
So you invited the light bulb. I invented fire. Like
for me, I would say the theme is one of the questions I have later for you guys is just, do people ever change? Can you really like, do people ever change, or is it always a part of you? Which we'll get to deeper down next towards the end of the breakdown. But and then obviously vengeance. That's another one. The just the overall premise. Just it being what happened, obviously, and them deciding to take vengeance on the group.
And there's a lot of just switching the cliches or the archetypes of Western tales. Like who are they trying to make like right? There were some prostitutes who was a prostitute was cut up. It's not like they took our town away from us and our food. No, these are prostitutes. You know what I mean? So, but they need to have their own brand of justice and vengeance.
Yeah.
He's someone who's killed women and children, and now he's redeemed himself. But the sheriff is just so quick on the draw to kill and whatever and harm people. It's who is morally right, who is morally wrong, and who are we to and everybody's telling their tales and making themselves sound. It's like Instagram. Everybody in this movie is, I've killed 5 people. You have not killed anybody. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The whole book is just a big fabrication of things that never really happened. Whereas,
Well,
and here's the
I'm
person
pretty
who
sure
did all
Clint
those
Eastwood's
things.
character did do all those things. Like
Well, I think
he didn't go crazy, but the younger guy, whatever his name is, was lying about talking about how he
do you feel lucky, punk?
that's a different movie, I think.
It's same, all the world.
Yeah, sure, it's all the same thing. But no, I agree. Like just overall vengeance is kind of to me, it's sort of which is again going back to James' point. It's all related to epics and everything else that we've seen, thousands of years. So that's nothing new. So then Gene Hackman's character, Little Bill. Stephen, kind of going back to what you just kind of opened up, is he a vigilante, or is he justified in his stance, or kind of the way he's trigger happy, and like what's sort of your take on that?
I mean, I could go either way. I didn't see him as breaking a whole lot of of laws. He's come to the end of his rope, I would say, dealing with Western towns and trying to keep his people safe and whatnot. And he's gone beyond the line that he ever thought he would cross. And then he meets up with someone who's it's funny because he says that the way you win a gun battle is if you have your cool about you and you don't just fire recklessly. And yet that's what he and his men do when after Clint is in there. They just sort of are trying to hit Clint, and Clint is waiting, with his cool, about him. So
James, what you think?
I mean, it's how do I say this?
It's tough, right?
It's a movie where, like, when no one is right or wrong, like
It's a gray
like
area.
you're all just living, and nothing
yeah.
is black and white like classic westerns. Like, there's shades of gray. Yeah, it's like, when you're a kid, you did something bad, and then you paint the picture that it's better, and they're like, your siblings are trying to get your stories correct. Like, you know, there's like story in the middle, like you and your parents comparing the story of your two siblings. It's like it's probably somewhere in the middle. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like anyone is wrong except,
Mhm.
the person that got shot. I mean, the person that they were out to kill, that cut up
Mhm.
the prostitute's face. But other than that, like, eh, everyone's in the gray.
I felt like the guy that was the partner of the guy that sort of hurt the prostitute, I thought he was trying to do right,
He
what
was.
he could,
Yeah,
and that was
yeah.
sort of a
Think
little bit of a tragedy.
gray, like
Right, exactly.
In a normal Western movie where it's clear black and white, like,
Mhm.
But you
he would have been a
also
bad guy.
but you also get associated with who you hang out with. So, but I
Oh,
Yeah,
agree.
that's
I
true.
mean,
But I also
you all are really messed up now because you're going out
but
with me.
but I also see I see their anger in that kid as well. But
Oh, yeah.
my take on it is he was a man of his time. And so sometimes you had to be brutal. Now, however, I will say this. I do think that all three of the main characters are villains.
Oh,
The
wow.
question is, were they all redeemed? Little Bill was not, evidenced by his cruelty at the end. Whereas Clint Eastwood's character, yes, he killed women and children. And should he have gone to jail? Yes. And in today's society, yes, he should have served his time. But he was redeemed by the love of his wife, and she showed a softer side of him. I don't think Little Bill was ever redeemed. I think he was hard from day one. Like, he was a hardened person that just wanted. And I get it. Like you said, Steve, he's at the end of his wits end. Like, he's like, enough's enough. Like, how do you control a town where there's nothing to back you up other than you? Like, there's no FBI. There's nothing like that. Like, you are it. You know what I mean?
I love how they're talking about, does he have the courage to deal with these guys coming into town? And all of a sudden, when he shows up, he's just ruthless and brutal. I mean, like, I'm sure oh, whoa, who is this? Just frightening with
And
it.
I
And that's where the character really turns. Like,
and I bet
whoa.
you in his mind he probably thought he was doing the right thing.
Oh, of course. I mean,
Because he
that's
was
the thing.
protecting his town. Because you have to get into that argument of, well, if you're killing criminals, how bad, like, how bad can you be because you're helping the town?
Yeah, exactly.
So again, this is that whole gray thing, like, kind of tie back what James
Most
said.
Westerns are
Absolute
perfect to
power
do.
corrupts absolutely.
Yeah.
My father was in a philosophy class, and he wrote a paper about how absolute power corrupts absolutely. And the professor says, "Do you really believe this?" Yes, I do. You get a D.
Wow.
Uh,
So
so
then, do you guys think that's where the title of the movie comes from?
Unforgiven. Look at you calling it all back. Look at you.
Well, look at you. Well, I guess that would make it's a great title for what the premise of the
That's
movie is.
episode
It's
7
a redeeming.
podcast, Daniel, right there, putting all that together. Nice.
Putting it down. I mean, who is bringing the A game, y'all? Bringing the A game.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a great title for what character arcs of the
Yeah,
movie or for the people are. Like, it's a good title.
for all of
Like, are
them.
you so like if like think of the title like Unforgiven, like, can you be forgiven? Probably not. You can't do one good thing and make up for all the horrible crap you've done before.
Right.
So
Yeah, no, I agree.
Right. I guess you can say that. You're right. I mean, I would say that something is stupid. I just realized this when I was trying typing out my notes. I was like, oh, William and Little Bill. I mean, there's something. I mean, that sounds a little too on the nose for it to begin with, but I'm sure the writer had something to say with that because, Bill and William are, the same, basically the same names. Although none of us in this room would ever call ourselves Bill because you're a James, a Stephen, and a Daniel. We're not a Danny or a Jimmy or a Stevie. But but there's something about Little Bill who, it says something about character and about how he, how he presents himself or how he is seen in the world. Little Bill, as opposed to William. Am I wrong or am I crazy? Am I stretching? I'm pulling. Sometimes a pipe's just a pipe.
I think I think you're taking it a little too far in that, but hey, if that's what you got out of it, then it's not wrong. I mean, if that's what you think,
remember, art is in the eye of the beholder.
exactly.
That's horrible because I've got a bad eye. There you go.
Yeah. So then, like we already talked about this earlier, but the question I had was, do we think the way he was portrayed, the sheriff, was political? I think we already talked about that earlier because we said that Clint Eastwood told him to represent the L.A. chief of police. So I don't know much about like how he handled it. I know it was obviously the riots were terrible, or like the way the police handled it was terrible. So I'm assuming it was a lot of gray area as well, and maybe not. Maybe it was a lot of black and white, obvious where it was police brutality, but just
It
kind of
also gone
interesting.
out sort of gone against hiring, people of color, hiring women, and they had a practice for making sort of a minority
Mm.
quota. And he sort of said that that was the wrong thing to do, and that
Hmm.
all these rights. He had a lot of, things on the record that were not exactly happy with the people of color and things. So, and then this happened, and it sort of fell on his doorstep as his to
Yeah,
blame him.
he messed
It was
up.
horrible.
So we always talk about at least one scene in these movies. For me, it was that last scene where he said like, "I'm coming out and I'm shooting any mother effer that I see," or what. Like I'm just paraphrasing, but like that was I love that scene. Like everyone knew this guy was the man, and he was walking out alive.
And I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to kill your family. I'll kill your
Yeah. Like I really feel like that was when he snapped and really became the old what was his name? Will Money. Like I really think that's when he became like the one of legend that everyone talked about. What did
And
y'all
then
think about that?
the guy was like, I'm not a deputy. I'm not going to shoot him. Like,
That would be me.
my forefinger, this hurt. I'm hurt right now. I can't fire a gun right now. I'm so sorry. But yeah.
No, that was probably the best scene. I don't have a disagreement on that one. That was
Yeah.
like the best
I like
scene.
the dialogue of the scene right before that one. What is it? Little Bill says, "I don't deserve this to die like this. I was building a house. Deserves got nothing to do with it."
Which to be fair, he was building a house.
But
Yeah,
But
he's trying
Clint
to live his
Eastwood
peaceful
was
life in the town.
but so was Clint Eastwood. He was taking care of his kids and the
no,
pigs got sick and he had to go and get money for his family. Same thing with Morgan Freeman. His
exactly.
his wife, his widow now. Spoiler: his widow now has to, go and
Yeah.
whatever.
My other
Um,
favorite line was when the book writer wets himself. How to get that? Look, check his bag. Make sure you don't get wet. I could not stop cackling. I was like, that's pretty.
so
That's
this is
great.
gonna be an open ended part. I just want to ask you guys, what did you guys think of this movie overall? Like I know this kind of segues into the end of it, but what was y'all's overall thoughts on the movie? And you can take as long as you want because this can be in depth if it needs to be. I just kind of because I feel like this could be one of those movies that I could see people loving or hating.
Out of all the westerns I have seen, this is up there as one of the best. Like, it's never to touch Will Smith's Wild Wild West. That was the best western ever made, and you cannot tell me otherwise. But
Please
no, like
make it stop. Make it stop.
it was a pretty good it was a good western. I like the grittiness. Those are the better westerns. It was, I enjoyed it. I you know I just not a big fan of westerns, but it was a fun movie. The
Steven?
characters had pretty
when
good
it came
depth.
when it started, I was like, okay, it's a little, okay, here's the guy who used to be an outlaw, now he's on this farm with his kids, and blah, blah, blah. But when he sort of decided to go on this journey, a- it really picked up with the whole,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, what is going on? And especially when that scene when, Bill the Brit or whatever his name is, when he takes that second gun away from him, that's when everything went crazy. I was like, whoa. So here, I'm going to teach people. So he was sending a message out to Texas that don't come here to sort of get this reward. But whoa, okay, this is not your grandfather's Western. Yeah, it was very different.
One thing I got to give him credit for too, though, is like he started off pretty shaky about getting on the horse. Like they did, it was really cool to kind of see like this is real. He hasn't used these skills in years. He's rusty. He can't hit a shot. He
No,
can't do anything. And Steven, I want to ask you because I called you the other day and you mentioned that you were about an hour into it and you were hating it. What changed? Like, was it just that scene
I
how
think
it
it was
picked up so quickly?
yeah. It's sort of I think what James would say this when you watch a certain you're like, okay, here's the this person has this problem. Here are these outlaws coming to town to help out. Okay, they got a heart of gold. Blah, we've seen this, but blah blah blah. But it was sort of beginning that with that kind of story, and it was sort of almost almost performed a little bit bigger, you know. Well, I got to get out. It's a little bit of a not caricature, but just a little like if you're playing realism at 7, it was like an 8,
Hmm.
and camp would be 11, but it was just like something right there. And then all of a sudden, all these sort of like the turns of the cliches of the western started to change, and that's when I was like, oh, this is something else. That final when he walks into that bar with that
Mm.
shotgun, whoa,
You could feel the tension.
oh,
Like
absolutely.
sitting in my house, you're like, whoa, this is about to go down. Like you could feel that room. And then Stephen, I also really like the I think you wrote when you talk about when the guy wet himself, but I really enjoyed the jail conversation they had when they're sitting, like when
When they're
the
reading his book, you mean?
yeah, like it just was a nice different change of pace of what it kind of had been. I don't know. For me personally, like with it being
That scene that you're talking about was the rehearsal that was in the film. Clint will film rehearsals, and so he shot that rehearsal. And I think they had rain that day, and they made Gene Hackman do that scene with all this dialogue, sort of out of the blue, and he
hmm.
nailed it. I mean, it really. So you're saying you love that scene, which is very intense as far as acting back and
Because
forth.
I really didn't know. Like I was like, is he about to shoot this guy? I mean, like it's
Oh
one of
yeah.
those. But for me, okay. So as the resident Clint Eastwood fan, this actually is not in my top 5 of his. I don't really. With this cast, I thought this movie should blow me away. Like with this cast, I thought this should be like a top 5 movie of all time. You've got Gene Hackman, Morgan Freeman, and Clint Eastwood. To me, this should be no brainer, knock your socks off, and it delivered, but it didn't do it didn't hit me like I wanted to. I don't know what I wanted, but and maybe it's because of the sort of the spoilers. Morgan Freeman's. I feel like his character dying off screen was a bad. I didn't like that. I don't know. I just felt like he deserved that screen recognition, and maybe they did it to kind of make you more angry. They didn't show it. I don't know. But I like it. I'm not gonna say I didn't like it, but when I first saw this as his movie, because I've gone through his movies and watched them, I was so excited to watch this movie. And the funny thing is the first time I ever watched this movie was my grandmother back in like, I don't even know, 2010, found this at a $5 bin at Walmart and saw
Oh
Clint Eastwood and
wow.
got it for me. So I had no idea. So I was like, oh, this, like, I'm reading it like before I'm watching. I'm like, this is gonna be amazing. And it was good, but I think to me, left a little bit. For me, I would put it probably like second or third favorite movie we've watched so far. Number one being Casablanca. So just kind of like rating it on what
What
we've
what other
seen.
Clint westerns and or Dirty Harrys do you prefer over this?
Well, I love The Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in my opinion, that's a top 10 movie of all time. I also love Gran Torino, which I know a lot of people don't like Gran Torino because it's not one
I
of his
actually like
better
Gran
ones.
Torino.
I do too.
I actually
It's
like Unforgiven.
like it's not one of his better ones. It's very cliche. The acting is terrible other than him. I fully admit that. But I just love it. I would have to think more about it. Definitely Dirty Harry. I really like the Dirty Harry scenes, honestly. Maybe it is. I don't know because I like Escape from Alcatraz a lot. Like it might be top five. It may be pushing number five. But thanks for thanks for asking, Stephen, because I had to really think about that. Like before I said, yeah, it may be number five, but if not, it's right on the cusp. Like because I don't love it. Oh, and then $1 Million Baby, which we will get to at some point. That's another one that he's amazing in.
Oh yeah. I mean,
But
and he has all these, Every Which Way But Loose, Any Which Way You Can, Bronco Billy, these really different, but with the same
and
kind
then
of.
what's the one about Madison County?
Oh, Bridges of Madison County, which is
Yeah,
perfect in.
yeah.
I mean, and there you go. You have your movie star and your brilliant actor, Meryl Streep and Clint Eastwood. Could not be better. I mean, really, and he's a director who doesn't say action. Apparently, he doesn't. He'll just go, "Oh, okay." He's very quiet on set, and people come to him as opposed to him having to scream to get to them. And
I did also like him directing Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima.
oh yeah,
So like I would consider those like anything he's directed or played in. But yeah, because to me, Letters of Iwo Jima is a really cool concept to show the Japanese side of World War II.
yeah.
But anyway, that's for another day. But I didn't mean to kind of go on a tangent there. So then, do we think it should have won? Just for reference, everyone, IMDb gives it an 8.2.
Mm-hmm.
The other nominees are The Crying Game, which got a 7.2, A Few Good Men, which got a 7.7, Howard's End, which got a 7.4, and then Scent of a Woman, which got an 8.0.
What do you think, James? What do you think?
I mean, so like, I don't know. I feel like 1992 was the year of the comedy. I know the Academy doesn't like comedies,
Uh-huh.
but like, I will say this hands down. I like Few Good Men more than.
You see that as a comedy?
Unforgiven.
Well, A Few Good Men is not a comedy.
No, but that out of the movies that were nominated, but like, think about it this year. They had My Cousin Vinny,
Yeah.
My Cousin Vinny, Wayne's World, and Mighty Ducks. Mighty Ducks should have won the Oscar for Best Picture. That was the best movie ever.
As a kid from the 90s, I can agree with that, James. Although Mighty Ducks 2, I think, is better when they represent Team USA, but that's just, or is it 3 when they represent Team USA? I think it's 2.
Just know, was it? Oh, which one is Iceland?
That's the first one. I think no,
Yeah.
or is that no? That's the second one. That's like they're representing Team USA in the Olympic show.
Yeah, they're like Iceland is very nice.
Mighty Ducks. I will say that like Scent of a Woman, obviously so Al Pacino did win Best Actor instead of Clint Eastwood, so that might be the runner up by most people. So James, you didn't give an answer. Do you think it should have won? Like, I mean, realistically, like really?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Like, I still like A Few Good Men more than.
To be fair, A Few Good Men
not a
has
big Western.
And to be fair, A Few Good Men, if you quoted that you can't handle the truth, people would know that more than any reference from cultural impact. It has A Few Good Men.
Cultural impact. A Few Good Men was way better.
Steven, what do you think?
I'm going to do what I did last time and say I'm going to talk about a movie that wasn't nominated for Best Picture because I don't care. The Player wasn't nominated. The Player, I mean, one of the most brilliant movies about movies ever made. That opening shot, that long shot that includes Buck Henry saying, pitching The Graduate Part 2, with, all your principals are still alive.
Oh, Tim Robbins.
It's one of my favorite films. And I'm like, why?
I've never heard of it.
Oh, and Altman is at his peak in this. I mean, he's really sort of getting into the nitty gritty of 90s Hollywood. I would say that should have been at least nominated. I would say that. And it would be, to me, it would be between this and A Few Good Men. Most definitely.
Yeah,
or My Cousin Vinny.
Or My Cousin Vinny.
I think Unforgiven should have won. I think they made the right decision, in my opinion.
There were a lot of A River Runs Through It was released this year. A lot of really good films.
92 was a good year.
Yeah.
But
No,
no, I mean, yeah. But overall, I do think it deserved to win. So I think we're on the same page there.
Howard. And here's another one, Chaplin. I mean, maybe not the best film, but that performance by Robert Downey Jr. was tremendous. I mean, you've all probably never seen it, but
I'm about to say, Steven,
wow.
this is why we love having you here because half these people I've never heard of. So it's nice to
I
hear you
mean,
talk about.
here's an actor who is in and out of treatment all the time, and he does this role, and it just incredibly nails it. If you ever watch it, you'll be stunned. Iron Man Schmeiron Man, he's brilliant as Chaplin.
Well, let us know in the comments if we got it right or wrong, what you guys think, because we would love to hear what your opinions were. But yeah, so I think we're all kind of in agreement on there for the most part. Obviously we can shout out some that should be nominated, but I think we kind of agree that we're not like, and we're not gonna create an uproar because Unforgiven won. And I'm actually glad Clint Eastwood got it. Man, how did he not get it for The Good, the Bad, the Ugly? Like, I don't understand how he's never won anything. Like, I'll be interested to go back and see what won that year, because it had to be something crazy like a Casablanca or like a 12 Angry Man, like something like that level to like stop him from winning winning an Oscar. But alrighty,
Crazy.
Now
is it that time?
We're gonna move on to our favorite segment, my favorite segment.
Right, that makes me scared. Hold me. Someone hold me.
No, come on, something good.
All right, so we'll change it up this week. What do we not want, James? What do you not want to see? Dances with Wolves?
I do not want. I don't want another Western.
No more Western.
I don't want at least 20 episodes.
I want a color film, and I want no Western. Steven, do you want to add anything that you want to see on that you're looking for?
I've never seen Parasite. I've heard it's wonderful. I don't like to read when I'm watching a movie, so I hope it's not Parasite. That's all I'm going to say. I know it's wonderful. I'm very old school. I don't.
You may have jinxed it. So.
It's Parasite.
Oh my God! I hope it's Parasite now so much.
All right, let me share my screen.
That's wonderful. Thank you, James.
Wow, Parasite.
Why I can't have a boyfriend. All right, here we go.
What?
I love that movie.
All right, let me know if you guys can see my screen.
That character. We can. Yep. We can.
All right, I think I removed. I just want to make sure that I removed. Yeah, I removed it.
If we have to watch Cimarron again, we might hurt ourselves.
Yeah, right. All right, here we go. I hate this. This makes me. I get so anxious watching this. And we are watching Moonlight from 2016.
Oh my gosh, really? Wow, this is going to be interesting. Wow.
Which, to quote one of the movie podcasts that I watched, this is apparently in this scene there is a scene on the beach that is very sexual in nature, and by two men, and the guy who was talking about it said that he quotes, "That was not as gay as Higgins and whatever the guy's name is relationship from My Fair Lady." He was like, "That was the second gayest thing I've ever seen behind Higgins' relationship with My Fair Lady."
Because truth is true.
And correct me if I'm wrong, isn't this the like where they messed up and it should have been La La Land?
They said it was La La Land.
Yeah.
This is what won, and they got to go. They like here the La La Land people are giving their speech. Oh, by the way, this says oopsie daisies.
James, me and Steven never seen this because I really have no interest in seeing it. So this is gonna be a struggle for me.
James, you've seen it?
James
I actually have not seen.
Oh, perfect, awesome.
Oh, right.
This is before my unlimited movie subscription services, so
well,
I don't see this. I've seen this one.
I just know like it'll be interesting to watch. So say that. We'll leave it at that. So, but yeah, hey, this is what we do. This
forward to it.
It's what we do this podcast.
You're forcing me into the 21st century, Daniel.
I know.
It's horrible.
And like, again, this is what we do this, guys. We love this. But any final thoughts, fellas, on Unforgiven before we wrap it up?
He's my grandfather. I mean, he really is. It's what watching him just as a person, as a persona, the way he walks, that sort of talk like that. I mean, if you all knew my grandfather on my father's side, you'd go, "Oh my Lord!" Like the hairline, the whole kit and caboodle. You know. It was like watching my grandfather get it. It was lovely because that's not awesome. That he killed a lot of people, but he did carry a gun quite a bit. So I'll just say that because it was the South or whatever.
And then I will say one fun fact about him too. Clint Eastwood was the mayor of Carmel, California, which is a gorgeous town, by the way. If you guys have never seen Carmel, California,
Yeah.
beautiful. He was the mayor there for like 4 years or whatever the term limit is for for a mayor.
Crazy. That's crazy.
But yeah, so James, anything? Are you good?
You love westerns, you'll love this movie.
Yeah, agreed completely. Awesome. Well, if you guys have made it this far, please don't forget to like, share, and comment below. Subscribe as well. Please let us know your thoughts and opinions, and we really do appreciate all the support we're getting. But until next time, this is the Chicago Cinephiles signing out.